You have already created your models, single components, parts in SolidWorks, and you want to assemble them together, and you just stumbled upon this video to learn how. This is the only video you'll need to watch on YouTube to learn this topic, but please be patient because you need to know what you're about to watch. I'm going to spend a couple of seconds to explain all of that. SolidWorks assembly could be very easy, could be very complex, and it's very capable either way. By the time you end up watching these video series, you're going to understand everything you need to not only assemble your parts together, but to know how to do it, when to use what, and when not to use what feature and what not. Because there are always more than one way to get the job done in SolidWorks. And what I want for you to understand and take away from this video is to understand which one works for you in your case dependent project. Because while this tool is good this time, maybe next time it's better for you to pick another. So I'm going to cover this, and this should be your takeaway from this mini series. Now it's going to be probably 1 up to 3 episodes. Please watch them in the right order, because otherwise you're going to end up missing some of the information. This is the end project that we are going to create together today in this mini series. First thing first, I have already created these components for you in case you want to practice with me with these videos. You can download each and every single one of these components if you go on the link in the description below or on the top right corner of the screen. All you have to do is to sign up on my website to get access to these parts free of charge. Download them, open them in SolidWorks, and I'm going to include SolidWorks 2021 format as well as step, because some of you might be using older versions of SolidWorks. It still works, but you cannot open it unless you're opening the step format. Anyways, I thought quickly to show you how to download your components for the assembly. When you click on the link, you will be brought to my page where you have to sign up. When you sign up and you log in, this is what you get. I put this inside my mini course because I already had this up and running and I didn't create a new page only for this one video. So you are inside the mini course. When you scroll down and go to the closing thoughts section, down here you see YouTube Assembly Mini Series DLC. If you click on that, you see your downloads over here. There are 2 different downloads: SolidWorks tutorials with Arion assembly step files for those who cannot open the SolidWorks 2022 version files, and if you have the SolidWorks 2022, you can just download the SolidWorks files. But I put this in case many of you are still working with 2021 and older versions of SolidWorks. Okay, so this is what you get. And now that you're here, if you want to go over the mini course, make sure to start it from the top. It's a project where I actually teach you how to create this gearbox by going over the course, giving you some assignment. There is a quiz and some bonus content such as downloadable PDFs. Okay, let's go back to the video. Another point, clarification. You might see that I move my components in a smooth manner. It's because I'm using the space mouse from 3D Connection, and if you don't have that, it's fine. You can use the middle mouse key on your mouse and rotate it as well. Let's just make this part also shown so we know what we are going to do. This is a camera that I have designed and it's functional. The body is just a solid body. We don't care about that. This is the lens, which is assembled of 4 components probably. And we have a focus ring and we have a zoom ring that rotates. And as it rotates, the camera zoom, the inner part of the lens goes out and comes in. And I want to show you and teach you how to create an assembly like this. Also, to make things more interesting, I connected a gear to the zoom ring, so by the time you rotate this, it rotates the other one and the mechanism works. My name is Arion and this is what I do, baby. All right, by the way, every keyword that I press, you will see it here. If I press a shortcut like this, then you could see Alt+C. This is what I just pressed on my keyboard. Anyways, when you start an assembly, you go to open a new file. This is it, assembly. Don't be in a rush. Please be patient and go with my pace, because the things that I'm adding here, ignore what I'm doing right now, by the way. The things I'm adding here are necessary for your foundation. First thing first, what is an assembly in SolidWorks? Unlike the part mode where you actually design a single component, assembly, while it is capable to do so, is not about creating components. It's about adding relations between the already created components you have done in the part mode. So all you're doing is adding connections. And this is the main reason most beginners make the mistake of saving their assembly and sending the assembly part to their professor for their project if they're in the uni, or to their friends, or to somebody else to check it out. A lot of people on GrabCAD make this mistake. They just upload the assembly file thinking, oh, the whole assembly exists in that file. No, the only thing that exists in the assembly file that you save is the relation between the component. Without the actual file of the components you save, that file cannot be opened. So if you want to save it and send it to someone, you have to send all the single components you have used in that assembly along with it. Or you use another technique, which is covered in this video. And if you're not an absolute beginner, you don't have to go with the pace. Just go in the description below this video, see the topics and the timestamps, jump to that topic and solve your problem, and you're welcome. This is the environment for the assembly mode in SolidWorks. It's a bit different from the part mode. We have some common tabs like Evaluate and Sketch, but the Assembly tab is now new and we don't have the Feature tab. We still get the front, top, right plane, origin, and this time we have something called Mates, which is very important and crucial when it comes to learning assembly in SolidWorks. First thing first, without getting you overwhelmed, there are a lot of icons here that we want to ignore, simplify it for you as a beginner, down to insert components and mates. These are the very first tools that you ever need to learn in order to get started with assembly. Later on, we keep adding other features to it and so on and so forth. So we want to create this lens. Let's start by inserting the very first component. All right, I can go to the Assembly tab and click on Insert Components. When I do that, I see there is one here, which is the whole thing. I want to insert the body of the camera. So I click on that, click open, and immediately I see a big component attached to the end of my mouse cursor. And when I move my mouse cursor, notice I'm not pressing any button on the mouse. I'm just moving it around, right? It moves with it. If you don't see a component attached to your mouse cursor, it's because you probably haven't checked graphics preview over here. Look, if I uncheck it, it doesn't mean it's not working. You just don't see the preview. So you do want to activate this. I haven't clicked anywhere yet. Bear with me. This is a pop-up that allows me to just rotate this component along Z, Y, or X, 90 degrees or whatever degrees that I define it here. I don't want to stick to it. Just whatever is fine for me for this example. And instead of clicking on a random point, which creates a lot of issues, I'm gonna move my mouse on the green check over here and click OK. By doing so, I have already set the very first component that I insert in the assembly mode on the origin, which is how you must, M-U-S-T, do it. Don't click on a random point. Clicking on a random point pinpoints your very first component on a random coordinates in the assembly mode, and since you're going to build everything else on top of that part, your assembly is going to be on a random coordinates in the assembly mode. While you might think, oh, what's the issue? There are some downsides to it that can show it themselves along the line. Okay, for example, if you want to have a plane that cuts your components in half, all the three, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should go back and watch my SolidWorks mini series in 5 parts. I'm gonna put the link of that in the description also below if you have missed it. If you want to cut your component in half, you want your component to be on the coordinate system because all the 3 components, all the 3 planes cut the coordinate system. Unfortunately, this part wasn't designed in the right place, so it is not perfectly placed here. But this is nevertheless what you should do. You should click on the green button for the first component. Now I'm gonna go ahead and insert my second component. I go to browse. This time I'm gonna bring It's called main body. Bring main body, and this time I don't want to click on the green check because this is my second component, and I want my second component to be, for now, on a random point. So I just click here. Right. Let's see what differences we can detect between these two components. First thing first, the name appears here. Camera, this is this one. Main body, which is this one, right? And when we look here, there is a parenthesis for the main body, and it has a dash in it, unlike the first component, which has a letter F in it. Letter F appears for the components that are fully defined within your assembly mode, and they are fixed. So when I try to drag my very first component by clicking and holding my left key on the mouse, there is a pop-up appears that says the selected component is fixed, it cannot be moved, period. But if I do it on the other one, it actually moves because you see it's not fixed. I can right click on it though, click on fix, and the same on here, right click on it, click on float. Now I can move this and cannot move the other one, but I just wanted to show you how you can change that. We don't want to go down this route. It's something possible. Anyways, we want to know how to move the component in the assembly mode and how to drag them or rotate them. Sorry, moving and dragging is the same. We use the left mouse key and then move them. And if you use the right mouse key, you will rotate them. If you use the middle mouse key, you will rotate the camera angle, not a single component. All right. And for those of you who are using space mouse, if you click on that component, you can use your space mouse to rotate, move, drag, whatever on your component. I want to set or fix this red ring in the center of this highlighted surface. This is where we are going to learn the next step, mates. As I said, mates are here. The second thing you need to learn in SolidWorks, the first one was insert component, and the second one was mate. When I click on that, allow me to close every segment we see here so we don't get confused. Let's just say this is the menu for it. There are 4 main tabs, and on default we open the standard. Although there is advanced, there is mechanical, and there is analysis. In these mini-series, I'm gonna cover mostly the standard one for you. We will use a couple of features from the advanced mates and a couple of features from the mechanical mates, and we're gonna ignore the analysis. Fair enough? Now, inside the standard mate, we have a subsection called mate selections, which is pretty intuitive. You have to pick the first entity from the first component, pick the second entity from the second component, so SolidWorks can make them together. Second subcategory is mate type. What kind of mate do you want to apply to these components? And the third and the fourth, I'm gonna leave it for now. We don't want to go into these and make it complicated. So we need the first two, mate selection and mate type, all right? You cannot select 2 entities on one single component. You cannot mate a component to itself. So what we do is we select, for example, I'm just running some examples here, all right? Select the outer surface on this red ring, which immediately turns this whole solid body that I selected this entity from or on into a see-through component. So you know which component was selected. And now I want to select this surface. As you can see, these two are selected, this one, and it immediately moved. And there is a pop-up appeared here with some options in it. And over here, some of the options that we saw in the mate type subcategory are grayed out, like tangent and concentric. Why is that? And why coincident is on default selected? Let me just select these and press delete on my keyboard and repeat the process, and this time walk you through what happened. So mate, this time I'm going to select this flat surface, and as you can see, all the options are available except concentric, which is grayed out. Why is that? Because a flat surface, which is already one of the selections in this case, can never be concentric with anything. A flat surface cannot be concentric with anything. A cylindrical surface, however, or cylindrical edge, they can be concentric. So let me take back my selection and this time select a cylindrical surface like this one, and you see all of the options are still available. I might want to assign a concentric mate. All right. Now, if I select the cylindrical surface on this one and select a flat surface on the other, coincident, parallel, perpendicular, and concentric, as well as angle mates are grayed out. Because how am I going to make a cylindrical surface and a flat surface parallel to each other? Doesn't make sense, right? So just to understand, depending on your selections, you get to use some of the mate types and you cross some of the other. All right. And whatever remains here as an option appears here in this pop-up. Makes sense? The green is just to okay, accept it. And this alignment, well, let me click on this, which switches between the two possibilities of making these two selected entities tangential to each other, like this, appears here as an arrow with a different symbol. Every other symbol appears the same, but I'm repeating it. But making alignment appears as this arrow. So this is flip alignment. So same thing you see here. Look, it switches, right? I'm talking about here and here. Anyways, I think you got the hang of it. Now allow me to actually place this camera lens in the center of the surface. So the center, I just selected it, and I wanna make these two coincident, which I just did, but that's not enough. While these two are coincident, look, it means it cannot, if I do it like 4 angles, you can see it cannot go up and down along the y-axis, but it can go left, right, or even up, down. Do you look here in the trimetric view? You will see what's happening when I move it right or left along the Z or along the X. It cannot move along the Y, and the reason is I made this surface and this surface coincident in the mates here. So these two are coincident, they cannot be separated from each other. However, this surface can still slide on the other two free angle of freedom, and that's why it's still not fully defined. That's why we still can move it. Sure, what else can I do? What other mates should I apply to this feature, to this solid body, that it stays in the middle? One way would be to measure the distance between the center line of the cylindrical surface. Let me show you what cylindrical surface, this one. And for example, this flat surface on the side, and another time, again, this axis to this, apply the distances so it stays in the middle, and we limit the other two angles of freedom. Sure, we can do this. How? Mate, select this axis, select this surface, and go to the distance. Just click OK. Let's just say we want to be at 56, right? It moved. Click OK. And one time, we are still within the same menu. We don't need to go out. By clicking on OK 2 times, you exit the menu. And this one, again, distance, we want to be at, let's just say 29. It moves to 29. 2 times OK, and we exit the menu. And this time, it only can rotate. See? We are eliminating the angles of freedom on the body of the lens, right? See what's going on here? That's the only way I can move it. I cannot move it back, forth, up, down, or sideways, but I can still rotate it. Anyway, you keep adding new mates until your component is fully defined. But I was fooling you. This is not the right way to place a cylindrical component on the center of a flat surface. Allow me to just select whatever mate I have applied, make this part fully flexible, and show you the right way of doing this. When I go to mate, and as I said, we are on default on the standard tab, which has coincident, parallel, concentric, so on and so forth. I'm going to go to the advanced mate, which gives me a different set of mates. and they are more capable. On here, I have profile center, which places a component on the center of the other selection. So I'm gonna select this ring, move my angle so I can see where I click, and select this one. It just places it exactly on the center of this selected highlighted flat surface. If I go ahead and click OK, there is no need to make it coincident and apply the distances and so on and so forth, but the lens can still be rotating. So to stop that, I have a button here, or checkbox, lock rotation. If I do that and click OK, now this component, just like this one, cannot be dragged because it's fully defined. You see the pop-up, right? Look at the pop-up here. Now, this is the very first component we just inserted. Allow me to bring the other components a little bit faster. So we have the inner lens, we have the zoom ring, and we have the focus ring. 1, 2, 3. Right. If I wanted to delete a component, all I had to do was to select it and press delete on the keyboard. If I wanted to duplicate it, bonus tip, hold Control on your keyboard and drag it, let go of your mouse key and let go of your Control key. Now you have 2 of them, which I don't want to. All right. Now I'm gonna place this component on this one, like this, and select these 2 to mate them together, and they're already mated. Now you might be wondering how I did it so fast. I didn't even go to the mate menu. I just used some shortcuts, which you will be learning in, not in this series. This is a little bit advanced. I just wanted to demonstrate what are the possibilities of working faster in the assembly, because I'm taking it super duper slow right now. So let me Control Z back. Oh, right. Now I want to place this ring here. What do? We go to the mate, we select the inner surface, we select the outer surface, and first thing first, we make them concentric. I don't want to lock the rotation because this is supposed to be rotating, so just click OK. And I want to push this surface to here and click OK. Look what happened. The ring is in its position and it can be rotating. Next, we want to place this one inside here. How do we do this? Mate, select, OK, which is a right click in this case. And we have this one, which is supposed to be here. The alignment is wrong, so I'm gonna flip the alignment and click OK. Let's move this out, and oh, sorry, the alignment was right. How do I go back? Good tip. A lot of times you assign a mate and you realize you made a mistake. Now you have to go back. In this case, since we haven't used a lot of mates, 5 only, I can just find it. This was the mate I was looking for. Sorry, this one. I can right click on this and click on edit feature and then flip the alignment over here. That's fine. But sometimes you're working with a huge large assembly with thousands of mates, and finding a single mate among thousands of mates is not only difficult, it's close to impossible. So how do you do that? When you want to know what kind of mates are applied to a single component that you're after, you right click on that component, because this is the component in question. When this menu appears, you go to this icon, view mates, which is a paper clip with an eye on it. When you click on this, the only mate that is assigned to it and the only component that is mated to it appears. Everything else disappears. So we know this is concentric number 4, highlighted also here. We right click on that, edit feature, and we can easily flip it like this. When we flip it, click OK, and close this menu so every other components appear back on the screen. Now I want to select this surface and this one, so it goes here, and we're cool for now. I want to stop this video right here because the next component has to have a function. I want to assign them in a way that by the time I rotate this zoom ring, this part goes back and forth. Make sure to download the components and try to watch this video. Do it with me, because once you do it, you'll never forget it. You'll learn it for good. That's one. Number two, if you haven't watched my mini series on SolidWorks, I'm gonna put the link again in the description below, because it's important. Go watch that too, because it comes in 5 episodes, and I break down the very first steps that you need to do, as well as teaching you what to do from the get-go, so you start learning the software by building the correct modeling habits. If you do it randomly, you'll do what I did. I've been working with SolidWorks for 15 years now, and I did it by trial and error. And the more I worked with it, the more I realized how more efficient you can be working with SolidWorks and save a lot of modeling time. I highly recommend you to go watch it. Those are also covered in my webinar. If you want to watch the bad modeling habits that you probably are doing, I'm going to put the link of my webinar again on the top right corner of the screen and in the link in the description below. Go watch them. And when you're ready, move on to the next episode.